welcome to Bonita's Kitchen, and thank you for joining us. What I'm going to be making today is a Newfoundland bread pudding. This recipe that I'm bringing to you today is a viewer's request, and thank you for sending that to us. And this recipe is also an old-fashioned tradition for Newfoundland and Labrador, making a bread pudding. This bread pudding is usually made when you're having a boiled meal or a jig's dinner, and that's usually something we'd have on a Sunday or during Christmas here in Newfoundland and Labrador. I'll talk a little bit about that and as well the ingredients for this recipe. So let's get started on making our delicious Newfoundland bread pudding. So what we need is a loaf or half a loaf of stale bread, and as you can see here, these are pieces of bread that I've got that I kept stale bread and I had frozen it. So all we need to do is break it in pieces like this. You can do that with your hand, and then after I will tell you what the next ingredient is. So this is pretty much all you need to do there with the bread, is crumble into pieces like this. And this is 2 or 3 different types of bread I got in here, so it doesn't matter what you got. Again, our viewer said you need about a loaf of bread, and that depends on you and what you got available. So what we need next is 3 teaspoonfuls of savoury. Now this savoury, you can get it in parts, other parts that is called summer savoury, and you can also get a winter savoury, and I was told that it's equal to a thyme or a rosemary. So just pour that on into your stale bread. We'll also need 2 tablespoonfuls of white sugar. You can go less if you want. And also, our viewer said that I'll give you a little tidbit about the sugar in this recipe as well, but it makes it a little sweet, and we'll talk a bit about that as well. So you toss that on in. We're going to be putting in 2 teaspoonfuls of baking powder. And just toss it in, and 1/4 cup of flour. Just put that on in there. So take a spoon now and toss this through. Now I suppose I could have done that with my hand as well, just to get it all equally put in through the breadcrumbs. Because what we're going to do next is put 2 tablespoonfuls of melted butter in there, and then the viewer had said enough water to bring it all together. So we'll do that as well. We're going to need 1 small onion chopped into little pieces, and pop that on in there with the other ingredients and mix this around. So now this is when I start mixing in the water. And I got a cup full, and I'm going to gradually put it in at a time. The onions now are starting to burn my eyes. That's nothing new. Okay, so this is basically what we're doing here, is bringing all of this together just to make it a little moist. And then this is about the texture you would need, just enough. If you're putting it in your hands, you could do like this with it. Okay, now I'll tell you what we do next. I hope I still got you interested in making this delicious Newfoundland bread pudding, and it's very simple steps and for a delicious side meal, I'm going to call it. So pretty much that's all we need to do with what we did there. Our viewer had said that this pudding is one that you would put in your boiler with your boiled meal that we would have on a Sunday or jig's dinner, and I do have that link on Bonita's Kitchen if you want to check it out to see what I'm talking about. And this pudding can go into a cotton bag like this, where you tie a cotton thread on there, or into a pudding tin. Now I'm going to do it in the pudding tin today with a little bit of butter in there, just around the sides, and put it in a separate boiler. I'm not going to cook it with the jig's dinner, and I will talk a little bit about that as well. So pretty much all I'm going to do now is just grease the inside of my tin. So pretty much this is all you would need to do, is soft like this and into a little bowl, and put it into your pudding tin And again, like you said, if you want to put it into the pudding bag, this is the pudding bag, you can just stuff that like that, and that goes on top of your potatoes when you put it in the boiler, or just into a small amount of water to steam it. But I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this one when we get it all into this pudding tin. So pretty much that's all you need to do is put it into the pudding tin, or like I said, into the pudding bag, and stuff it in nice. Then you're going to need a quarter of the way up to the boiler with water, and put something in the bottom so your pudding tin don't touch onto the bottom of the boiler. Then what you're going to do, you'll need a lid, or if you're using your pudding bag, you need to tie it with a string, and pretty much this is the opening, and then you put it into your boiler. Now what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about that. So just give you some more information on this part and this step. If you're cooking a jigg's dinner or a boiled Sunday dinner like me, you don't have room in your boiler for another pudding bag because you're putting your peas pudding and your bread pudding. So I always like cooking it in a separate bag, in a separate pot, excuse me. But if when you're making the bread pudding and you want to have a little bit of that broth from your boiled meal, instead of using water to blend it all together, you could use a little bit of the broth to put in there. But today I didn't do that. So you put the lid on your boiler, put it on your damper, on your stove top, and get it boiling, and have it there for about 30 minutes, and then it's cooked. And if you're putting it in the pudding bag and you're going to be including it with your meal or your boiled dinner, you would put it on top of the potatoes. When you put the potatoes there, 30 minutes, and it's also steamed and cooked. I got one done in advance, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So after your Newfoundland bread pudding is baked or steamed and it's out of the pot, this is what it looks like. I'm going to bring you in closer, show you what that looks like. So as you can see, it comes out of the pudding tin just really nice. If you leave it into the pudding bag, you got to take it out right away because you don't want it to get soggy. So what I'm going to do is cut a nice piece. This reminds me of a really nice stuffing. And I'm going to cut off a nice piece there and put in a plate. Over here to the side, this is our boiled meal, salt beef. We got some chicken baked, carrot, turnip, parsnip, and some potato. And this is what the stuffing looks like on the inside. And we serve this with gravy. And I'm going to just put it right here on my plate. So all is missing here now is the gravy. And what I'm going to do now is just pour it over the boiled meal, the chicken, and the bread pudding, the Newfoundland bread pudding. And this is what it looks like, as good as it gets. So I hope you're interested now to making this delicious Newfoundland bread pudding. But I want to give you one more tidbit of information. If you're going to make a gravy for your dinner, take the broth out of the pot before you put the pudding in there. If you're going to be boiling it with your vegetables, or if you're going to be making it with the pudding tin, you don't have to worry about it. So now what I'm going to do is have a little taste and tell you what it tastes like. Excited to have a little taste of this. A little bit of gravy. So delicious. You can taste the savory is just bursting through there with the onion in there. It is a little tiny bit. You can taste that little bit of sweetness, but not too bad. 2 thumbs up by Bonita's Kitchen. So if you enjoyed this recipe today for Newfoundland bread pudding and you'd like to see more of our traditional and non-traditional Newfoundland and Labrador recipes, just hit the subscribe button and don't forget to ring the bell, because each time we post a new video you will get a notification. And as well, we would provide the recipe to each one of those videos in under our video. You can also visit us on our Facebook page. Send us a message on www.bonitaskitchen.com. We would love to hear from you. Once again, I'd like to thank all of our viewers that's sending in video requests for different recipes that you've had as children or one that you'd like to see made. So from our kitchen to yours today, thank you for joining us. You have a wonderful day. If you're visiting Newfoundland and Labrador, don't forget to check out the beautiful town of Spaniards Bay and join us again on Bonita's Kitchen.
Join us by the sea, our journey in culinary, always an open door. Bonita's Kitchen to yours. Bonita's Kitchen, to yours.